Daniel Wright, an exhausted single father, just wanted to get through dinner and go home to his daughter. But when a woman approached his table, he thought she had the wrong seat. Minutes later, Daniel realized a truth that made his heart sink. She wasn't just the blind date his sister had arranged. She was also the coworker he argued with every single day at work. One forced dinner, one unavoidable hour, and one truth that could change both their lives. Daniel Wright's left eye twitched as he turned into the parking lot of Bella Notte Bistro. The lights of the restaurant cast a warm glow against the evening drizzle, promising romance and intimate conversations, neither of which he had energy for tonight. He sat in his truck for a moment, watching raindrops race down the windshield. His shift at Northeast Logistics Center had run 2 hours late because someone he suspected it was Sophia Nguyen from Quality Control had flagged an entire shipment for reinspection. Again, the woman had a talent for making his job harder, always citing some regulation, never considering that real people with real deadlines depended on those shipments moving on time. His phone buzzed. Emily, his younger sister. Daniel rubbed his face. He'd told Emily 100 times he wasn't ready to date. 7-year-old Lily was his priority, and between work and being a single father, he barely had time to sleep, let alone navigate the minefield of modern dating. But Emily had worn him down with relentless optimism, and his mother had joined the campaign. 1 hour, he muttered, checking his reflection in the rearview mirror. His hair was still damp from rain during lunch. The dark circles under his eyes told the story of too many sleepless nights comforting Lily after nightmares, too many mornings packing school lunches at dawn. He looked exactly like what he was. A 34-year-old man running on fumes. He stepped out into the cool April evening. The restaurant sat on a corner in downtown, its brick exterior wrapped in climbing ivy that glistened with rain. Through tall windows, he could see couples leaning toward each other over candlelit tables, their faces soft with affection or possibility. The sight made something in his chest tighten, not longing, exactly, but a dull ache for something he'd once had and lost. Inside, warmth hit him immediately. The air smelled of garlic, fresh bread, and something tomato-based that made his stomach growl. He'd skipped lunch to handle the shipment crisis. A hostess with a bright smile approached. "Good evening. Do you have a reservation?" "Right." "Table. For 2. She scanned her list. "Ah, yes. Your date called ahead. She's not here yet, but your table is ready. Right this way." Daniel followed her through the maze of tables, acutely aware of his work boots against the polished floor, his flannel shirt among the button-downs and blazers. The hostess led him to a corner table with a good view of the entrance and the street beyond. A single candle flickered in a glass holder, casting dancing shadows across the white tablecloth. "Your server will be right with you. Can I start you with some water?" "Please." She left, and Daniel sank into his chair with a quiet sigh. He pulled out his phone to look at his lock screen, a photo of Lily from last weekend at the park, gap-toothed and laughing, her dark curls wild around her face. That smile was worth every exhausted moment, every sacrifice. He set the phone face down and looked around. The restaurant was busier than expected for a Thursday night. To his left, an elderly couple ate in comfortable silence, sharing a tiramisu. To his right, a younger pair talked animatedly, their hands gesturing as they debated something with mock seriousness. Everyone seemed to belong here except him. A server appeared, filling his water glass. "Good evening, sir. My name is Marcus, and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I get you something from the bar while you wait?" "Just water for now, thanks." "Absolutely. Let me know if you change your mind." Daniel checked his watch. 7:03 p.m. Emily had told him the woman's name was Claire, that she was a teacher, loved hiking, and was really pretty, but in a natural way, not intimidating. He had no idea what that meant. His phone buzzed. Lily, texting from his mother's house. "Daddy, when you coming home?" He smiled, despite his fatigue, and typed back. "Late tonight, baby. Grandma's going to tuck you in." Be good. Love you. Love you more, came the instant reply, followed by 3 heart emojis. The warmth in his chest pushed back against exhaustion. This was why he did it all: the overtime, the arguments with quality control, the nights falling asleep on the couch in his work clothes. For her, he looked up to scan the entrance again and froze. A woman had just walked through the door, shaking rain from a navy blue coat. Even from across the room, even with her back partially turned as she spoke to the hostess. Something about her posture, shoulders back, chin slightly raised, sparked recognition. No, it couldn't be. But as the hostess gestured toward the dining room and the woman turned, Daniel's stomach dropped. Sophia Nguyen stood in the entrance, her dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail, her eyes scanning the tables. She wore a fitted emerald sweater that was decidedly not her usual professional blazer, and there was something different about her face, softer somehow, though her expression remained serious as she searched the room. Daniel gripped the edge of the table. This couldn't be happening. Of all the restaurants in the city, of all the nights, of all the cosmic jokes the universe could play, their eyes met. He watched the recognition hit her like a physical force. Her eyes widened, her lips parted in surprise, and for a moment, she looked like she might turn and walk straight back out into the rain. The hostess said something to her, gesturing toward Daniel's table. Sophia shook her head once, sharply, but the hostess, clearly confused, checked her list and gestured again, more insistently. Daniel couldn't move. Couldn't think. His mind raced through the past few months of interactions with Sophia. Every terse email about protocol violations. Every tense meeting where she'd questioned his decisions. Every time he'd walked away from a conversation with her, feeling like he'd been put through a professional wood chipper. Sophia walked toward his table with deliberate steps, someone approaching an execution. Her own or his, he wasn't sure. Her face had composed itself into that neutral mask she wore at work, but he could see the tension in her jaw, the way her hands clutched her small purse too tightly. She stopped at the edge of his table. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "You've got to be kidding me," Daniel finally said, his voice low. Sophia's eyes flashed with something: anger, maybe, or disbelief. "This is Anna's idea of a perfect match." "Anna?" Sophia repeated, still standing at the edge of the table. "Anna Park? Your sister's best friend?" She said. She stopped, closing her eyes briefly. When she opened them again, her professional mask had cracked just enough to show genuine frustration beneath. "She told me I'd be meeting someone named Daniel who worked in logistics." She failed to mention it was Daniel Wright. "Emily," he said flatly. "My sister Emily. She set this up with your friend Anna." The pieces clicked together with an almost audible snap. Emily and Anna had been friends since college. They'd stayed close even after Anna moved to Seattle. And now, apparently, they'd decided to meddle in the most spectacular way possible. "They set us up," Sophia said, her voice carefully controlled, though Daniel could hear the edge beneath it. "On purpose. Looks like it." Marcus, the server, appeared with impeccable or perhaps unfortunate timing. "Ah, wonderful. Your party is complete. May I start you with some wine? We have an excellent Chianti that pairs beautifully with our pasta dishes." Sophia and Daniel both stared at him. Marcus's smile faltered. "Or perhaps a moment to look over the menu?" "Actually," Sophia started. "We're fine," Daniel cut in, surprising himself. "Just water for her too, please." Marcus nodded and retreated with the speed of someone sensing danger. Sophia's eyes narrowed. "Don't make decisions for me." "I wasn't. I was buying us 30 seconds to figure out what we're doing here. What we're doing is leaving." Sophia turned, ready to walk away. "Wait." Daniel didn't know why he said it. Maybe because exhaustion had finally broken something in him. Or maybe because walking out would mean admitting defeat to Emily's scheming. "Just hold on." Sophia turned back slowly. "Why? Why? So we can sit here and argue about warehouse protocols over breadsticks?" So you can tell me again how my excessive quality standards are ruining your efficiency metrics? That shipment last month had mislabeled hazard codes, he shot back. If those containers had been loaded wrong. Exactly my point. If I hadn't caught it, but you did catch it. Along with 50 other violations that turned out to be paperwork typos. You flagged an entire week's worth of shipments because someone used the wrong date format. Sophia's hands, which had been gripping her purse, moved to her hips. The wrong date format can mean the difference between a shipment clearing customs or sitting in a warehouse for weeks, but I wouldn't expect someone from operations to understand that. Someone from operations. I've been doing this job for 8 years. I know exactly what. Excuse me. They both turned. The hostess stood a few feet away, her earlier bright smile replaced with professional concern. I'm sorry, but we've had a noise complaint from the table next to you. If you could keep your voices down, or if you'd prefer, we can move you to a more private area. Heat flooded Daniel's face. He glanced around and saw several nearby diners pointedly not looking at them, the universal sign of people who'd definitely been listening. The elderly couple from before had paused their tiramisu to watch the drama. We're leaving, Sophia said quietly. Actually, Daniel heard himself say. We're staying. Sophia's head whipped toward him. What? He wasn't sure what possessed him. Maybe spite, maybe stubbornness, maybe just bone-deep exhaustion of being manipulated by well-meaning family. We're staying. We're going to sit down, order food, and get through this dinner like adults. Then we're going to go home and murder our respective matchmakers. I am not. 1 hour. He checked his watch. It's 7:15 now. We stay until 8:15. We eat something. We prove to Emily and Anna that their little scheme didn't work. And then we never speak of this again outside of work email. Sophia's jaw worked as she processed this. He could see the war happening behind her eyes, the desire to maintain dignity versus the desire to flee. Why would you want to stay? She finally asked. I can't stand the idea of my sister thinking she won, he said honestly. If I leave now, she'll just try again. And again. This way, I can tell her I gave it a shot. It was a disaster, and she needs to stay out of my love life permanently. Something flickered across Sophia's face, understanding, maybe, or recognition of a kindred frustration. She looked toward the door, then back at Daniel, then at the empty chair across from him. 1 hour, she said finally. 1 hour. She sat down stiffly, placing her purse on the chair beside her and smoothing her sweater. Daniel caught a whiff of her perfume, something subtle, jasmine maybe, and realized this was the closest he'd ever been to her outside of a tense meeting room. Marcus reappeared with water for Sophia, moving with the cautious efficiency of a bomb disposal expert. Ready to order, or would you like a few more minutes? Minutes, they said in unison. He left the menus and departed swiftly. Silence descended on the table, broken only by ambient noise of the restaurant clinking silverware. Murmured conversations, someone laughing at the bar. Daniel picked up his menu without really seeing it. Across from him, Sophia did the same. This is absurd, she muttered. Completely. Anna promised me. She stopped herself, pressing her lips together. Despite everything, Daniel's curiosity piqued. Promised you what? Sophia looked up from her menu, and for a moment, her professional armor slipped enough to show something raw beneath embarrassment. Maybe, or hurt, that she wouldn't set me up with anyone from work. She knows I hate complications. Daniel understood that more than he wanted to admit. Emily promised me the same thing, said it was someone who had nothing to do with my daily life. Yet here we are. Sophia set down her menu. For the record, this isn't personal. At work, I mean. I'm not trying to make your job harder. Could have fooled me. I'm trying to do my job correctly. There's a difference. Daniel opened his mouth to argue, then closed it. He was too tired for this fight. And besides, wasn't that exactly what he'd told himself when he'd pushed back on her last quality hold? That he was just trying to do his job? Look, he said, we clearly aren't going to become friends tonight. but maybe we can call a truce for 1 hour. No shop talk. No arguments about shipping manifests or ISO standards. We eat, we fulfill our obligation to our meddling relatives, and we go home." Sophia studied him for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, she nodded. Truce. They picked up their menus again, this time actually reading them. Daniel scanned the pasta dishes, his stomach reminding him loudly that he'd skipped lunch. "The carbonara here is supposed to be good," Sophia said quietly. He looked up. "You've been here before?" "Once. For a work dinner last year." She paused. The ravioli was good too, if you like ricotta. It was the most civil thing she'd ever said to him. Daniel nodded slowly. Marcus returned, somehow sensing the de-escalation. They ordered carbonara for Daniel, mushroom ravioli for Sophia, a bottle of sparkling water to share because the moment felt too fragile for alcohol. When the server left again, Sophia folded her hands on the table and looked at Daniel directly. "So, 1 hour? What do we talk about?" That was the question, wasn't it? They had 60 minutes to fill and a lifetime of antagonism to navigate around. "How about," he said carefully, "we start with why our friends thought this would be a good idea." Sophia's laugh was sharp and humorless. "Anna thinks I need to loosen up." Her words. "She's been on a mission to fix my life ever since her wedding last summer. Emily thinks I'm going to die alone and sad if I don't put myself out there more." He made air quotes. "Never mind that I'm perfectly fine." "Are you?" The question came out before Sophia seemed to mean it to. She blinked, surprised at herself. "Sorry. That wasn't." "No, it's fair." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Am I perfectly fine?" "Probably not. But I'm functional. I'm managing. That counts for something." Sophia was quiet for a moment. Then, "Anna doesn't understand that functional is sometimes the best we can do." There was something in her voice, a weariness that matched his own. Daniel looked at her, really looked at her, and saw for the first time that the woman who'd made his professional life difficult for months had the same shadows under her eyes that he did. "So we're both here under duress," he said. "Both determined to prove our matchmakers wrong." "Apparently. Well then." Daniel raised his water glass. "To 1 hour of mutually assured survival." Sophia hesitated, then picked up her own glass. The corner of her mouth twitched, not quite a smile, but close. To survival. Their glasses clinked softly, and for the first time since she'd walked through the door, Daniel thought maybe they'd both make it through this dinner alive. The bread arrived a basket of warm focaccia with olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Daniel reached for a piece at the same moment Sophia did, and their hands nearly collided over the basket. They both pulled back. "Go ahead," he said. "No, you. I insist." Sophia took a piece with efficiency. She tore it in half and dipped one piece in the oil. Daniel followed suit, and for a moment, they ate in silence. "I can't believe they did this," Sophia said suddenly. She'd set down her bread and was staring at the candle flame. "Anna knew, she knew I didn't want to be set up with anyone from work. We had an entire conversation about it." "When did she ask you?" 3 weeks ago. She called me out of the blue, all excited about this great guy she wanted me to meet. Said he was stable, hard-working, good with. She stopped abruptly, her jaw tightening. It doesn't matter what she said. The point is, she lied. Daniel processed that. 3 weeks ago, that would have been right around when Emily had started her campaign. "Emily started working on me about a month ago," he said. Subtle at first, asking if I'd thought about dating again, if I was lonely. Then she got more direct. He pulled out his phone and scrolled to Emily's messages. "Look at this." Sophia leaned forward, reading. Her eyebrows rose. "Daniel, you're going to die surrounded by shipping containers if you don't let people in." She has a flair for the dramatic. "Anna's friend is exactly your type. She's organized, responsible, and actually owns real furniture, unlike your sad bachelor apartment." Sophia looked up. "Your sister called your apartment sad." "My sister has opinions about everything." He pocketed the phone. Let me guess, Anna had similar things to say about your life? A flush crept across Sophia's cheeks. She may have implied that I'm too focused on work, that I use rules and standards as a way to avoid emotional vulnerability. Ouch. Yes. Well. Sophia took another piece of bread, tearing it with more force than necessary. Anna got married last July. Ever since then, she's decided everyone else needs to be in a relationship too. Never mind that some of us are perfectly content being single. Are you? The question hung between them. Sophia looked at him sharply, as if trying to determine whether it was a challenge or genuine curiosity. I'm focused, she said finally. There's a difference. I have goals, career progression. I'm working toward my certification as a lead auditor, which requires specific experience and documentation. I don't have time for distractions, and relationships are distractions. In my experience, yes. Their entrees arrived. Marcus set down the plates with a flourish. Daniel's carbonara steaming with ribbons of pasta coated in creamy sauce. Sophia's ravioli arranged artfully in brown butter with sage and pine nuts. Anything else I can get for you? Marcus asked. We're good, Daniel said. When the server left, they both picked up their forks. Daniel twirled pasta onto his and took a bite. The carbonara was rich and perfectly seasoned. Across from him, Sophia cut into a ravioli, and he caught the briefest flash of pleasure on her face as she tasted it. Good? He asked. Very. They ate for a few minutes in silence, but it was different from the tense quiet of before. This felt more like mutual agreement than standoff. Can I ask you something? Sophia said eventually. Sure. That shipment last month, the one with the hazard codes. Were you actually angry about the delay, or were you angry that I was right? Daniel set down his fork. The honest answer required more vulnerability than he'd planned to offer tonight. But something about the way she'd asked direct but not accusatory made him consider it. Both, he admitted. The delay cost us a client deadline. My manager was furious. But yeah, part of it was pride. I'd signed off on those manifests. I should have caught the error, Sophia nodded slowly. I wasn't trying to make you look bad. I know that now. But in the moment? It never is. Personal, I mean. She pushed a ravioli around her plate. I learned early in my career that cutting corners, even small ones, leads to bigger problems down the line. My first job out of college, Sophia continued, I worked for a small freight company. We had a manager who always pushed to move shipments faster, skip steps, fudge documentation. I was young and wanted to be a team player, so I went along with it. Daniel waited. Sophia's expression had gone distant, her eyes fixed on something beyond the restaurant. One of those shipments caught fire in transit, she said quietly. Improperly labeled lithium batteries. The driver was injured, second-degree burns on his hands and arms. The company got sued, lost their certification, went under within a year, and all of it could have been prevented if someone had followed protocol. Jesus. So when I flag something that seems minor, like a date format or a mismatched code, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm trying to prevent the next fire. She looked at him directly. I'm trying to make sure no one else gets hurt because someone decided efficiency was more important than accuracy. Daniel absorbed that. It reframed every frustrating email, every delayed shipment, every argument they'd had over the past 6 months. She wasn't the enemy, she was someone who'd learned the cost of mistakes in the harshest way possible. I'm sorry, he said, for assuming you were just being difficult for the sake of it. Sophia's eyebrows rose. Did you just apologize to me? Don't get used to it. The corner of her mouth twitched again, that almost smile. Noted, Daniel took another bite of carbonara. For what it's worth, I'm not actually opposed to following procedure. I know the rules exist for good reasons. It's just my job is about keeping things moving. When operations gets behind, everything backs up. Drivers wait. Clients complain. My manager starts asking why I can't solve problems faster. So you cut corners. So I try to find the fastest path that's still compliant. And sometimes I get it wrong. Sophia studied him. You know what Anna told me about you? When she was trying to convince me to come tonight. What? She said you were one of the good ones, hard-working, responsible, dedicated. She said you'd been through a lot, but hadn't let it make you bitter. Sophia paused. I thought she was exaggerating, but maybe she wasn't. Daniel felt heat creep up his neck. She doesn't know me that well. Emily must have told her things. They're close, aren't they? Too close. They probably planned this whole thing together. Oh, definitely. Sophia pulled out her own phone and scrolled to a message thread. She turned it so Daniel could see. Look at this. Daniel read, So I have someone I want you to meet. Very responsible. Great family values. Works in logistics. Below that, you'll like him. He's a little rough around the edges, but in a good way. Real, honest. Rough around the edges? He said, slightly offended. In a good way, Sophia reminded him. There was the almost smile again. Though I'm not sure what that means. Probably that I showed up in work boots and flannel. I noticed. Should I be insulted? Depends. Are you insulted that I noticed, or insulted that I might judge you for it? Daniel considered. Both? Sophia actually smiled, a real one, brief but genuine. For what it's worth, I think the boots are fine. At least they're practical. High praise from someone who probably color codes her closet. I do, actually. By season and function. She saw his expression. Don't judge me. Wouldn't dream of it. They fell back into eating, but the atmosphere had shifted again. The walls between them weren't down, exactly, but they'd lowered enough that Daniel could see what might exist on the other side. His phone buzzed. Emily calling. He rejected it immediately. Let me guess, Sophia said. Checking in? Probably. She wants to know how it's going. Anna, too. Sophia showed him her own phone, which displayed several increasingly excited messages. She's asking if we've ordered dessert yet. It's been 30 minutes. She's very invested in our happiness. Daniel snorted. Is that what this is? Happiness? I think the word she used was connection. Sophia set her phone face down with more force than necessary. She's going to be so disappointed. Emily's going to be unbearable. She'll want a full report. What are you going to tell her? Daniel thought about it. The truth? That we sat here, ate our food, didn't kill each other, and went our separate ways. She won't accept that. She'll have to. Sophia twirled her fork through the remaining sauce on her plate. We could tell them it was terrible. Really lean into it. Like what? I don't know. We could say you chewed with your mouth open, that I spent the whole time checking my phone, that we had nothing in common and couldn't wait to leave. But we'd be lying. The words came out before Daniel could think about them. Sophia looked up sharply. Would we? She asked quietly. Daniel met her eyes. They weren't quite as hard as they usually seemed at work. Or maybe he'd just never looked closely enough before. There were flecks of gold in the brown, he noticed, and fine lines at the corners that suggested she smiled more than he'd realized, just not at him. I guess not, he admitted. I mean, you haven't checked your phone once, and this food is actually pretty good, and you don't chew with your mouth open. Good to know I meet minimum standards. Sophia's smile was fuller this time. Don't push your luck. Marcus appeared to clear their plates. Any interest in dessert? We have a wonderful tiramisu, or our chocolate torte is very popular. Daniel looked at Sophia. Her expression was unreadable. Maybe just the check, he said. Actually, Sophia interrupted. She seemed to surprise herself. The tiramisu. We'll share. Marcus nodded and departed. Daniel raised an eyebrow. What happened to getting out of here as fast as possible? Sophia shrugged. It's good tiramisu, and we still have 20 minutes on our hour, so we're following through to the letter. I'm thorough. You know this about me. Daniel laughed, actually laughed. It felt strange, the sound unfamiliar in his own ears after weeks of stress and exhaustion. When was the last time he'd laughed at something that wasn't Lily's silly knock-knock jokes? What? Sophia asked. Nothing. Just, this is the weirdest night of my life. Mine too. The tiramisu arrived layers of coffee-soaked ladyfingers and mascarpone cream dusted with cocoa powder. Marcus set down 2 forks and left them to it. Daniel took a bite. The dessert was perfect sweet but not cloying, with just enough coffee to cut through the cream. Across from him, Sophia did the same, and that flash of pleasure crossed her face again. "Good?" he asked. "Very good." They ate in comfortable silence, the earlier tension now completely dissipated. Daniel found himself relaxing in a way he hadn't expected to tonight, or possibly in the past several months. "Can I ask you something personal?" Sophia said. "How personal?" "Emily mentioned you had a daughter." Daniel's defenses snapped back into place immediately. "She did? Just in passing. Anna told me." Sophia must have seen something in his face, because she added quickly, "I'm not going to ask anything inappropriate. I was just curious about, well, how you manage it, the work-life balance thing. I struggle with that and I don't even have kids." Daniel relaxed slightly. "Balance is a generous word for what I do. It's more like controlled chaos. But you make it work. Most days. Some days I'm pretty sure I'm failing at everything simultaneously. I doubt that. You don't know me well enough to doubt it." Sophia set down her fork. "I know you've never missed a deadline at work. I know you stay late when there are problems. I know the warehouse staff actually like you, which is rare for management. That counts for something." Daniel felt uncomfortable warmth. "Yeah, well, the warehouse guys don't see me burning chicken nuggets at 2 in the morning because I forgot to set a timer. You make your daughter dinner at 2 in the morning? Sometimes she has nightmares. Food helps her calm down." He paused. That was probably too much information. "No," Sophia said quietly. "It wasn't." They finished the tiramisu. Daniel checked his watch. 8:17. They'd exceeded their hour by 2 minutes. "I should probably go," he said. "Early morning tomorrow. And I need to pick up Lily from my mom's." Of course. Marcus brought the check. Daniel reached for it, but Sophia's hand got there first. "We'll split it," she said firmly. "I don't mind. We're splitting it." He knew better than to argue. They divided the bill down to the dollar. As they waited for Marcus to process payment, Sophia said, "This was strange. Very strange. But not terrible." "No," Daniel agreed. "Not terrible. Should we tell them that?" "Absolutely not. They'd take it as encouragement." Sophia smiled. "Fair point." They signed their receipts and stood. Daniel grabbed his jacket, and Sophia collected her purse. As they walked toward the exit, Daniel was acutely aware of the small space between them, of how different this departure felt from what he'd imagined. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the sidewalks gleaming under streetlights. The air smelled clean and cool. "I'm parked that way," Daniel said, gesturing left. "I'm right here." Sophia pointed to a silver sedan at a meter directly in front of the restaurant. "Of course you are. Efficient to the end. It's a gift." They stood there awkwardly for a moment, neither quite sure how to end this. A handshake felt too formal. A hug felt too intimate. They settled for an uncomfortable half-wave. "So," Daniel said. "Monday at work?" "Monday at work," Sophia confirmed. "Back to our regularly scheduled antagonism, maybe with slightly less animosity." "Maybe." Sophia unlocked her car, then paused with her hand on the door handle. "Daniel? Yeah? Thanks for staying. For the hour, I mean. You didn't have to. Neither did you." "No, but I'm glad we did." Before he could respond, she got into her car and started the engine. Daniel watched her pull away from the curb and disappear down the street, her taillights blinking once at the stop sign before she turned and was gone. He stood there for a moment longer, processing. Then he pulled out his phone and saw 17 messages from Emily, each more excited than the last. He typed, "Date happened. Food was good. Don't ever do this again." Then he turned toward his truck, feeling lighter somehow despite the exhaustion still weighing on his shoulders. 3 weeks later, Daniel stood at the Northeast Logistics Center break room coffee machine when someone stepped up beside him. Morning, Sophia said. Morning. He poured his coffee. Henderson shipment cleared yesterday. Thanks for the quick turnaround. Just doing my job. She paused. There's a new place that opened on 4th Street. Good coffee, apparently. Daniel looked at her. She was looking straight ahead, her professional mask in place, but he could see the hint of a question in her eyes. Tomorrow morning, he heard himself say. Before work? 7? 7 works. Saturday morning arrived with the chaos Daniel had forgotten. Lily appeared in his bedroom doorway at 8:47 a.m., already dressed in her soccer uniform. Daddy, we have to leave in 13 minutes or we'll be late. Daniel shot upright. What? Soccer. Right. Yes, you forgot. I didn't forget. I just temporarily didn't remember. That's what forgetting is. The drive to Riverside Community Fields took 12 minutes, 4 minutes late for warm-ups. Lily bolted from the truck, running toward her team. Daniel followed with Lily's water bottle and a folding chair. The morning was cool but promised warmth later. Other parents had already claimed spots along the sideline. He found an empty spot near midfield and set up his chair. Around him, parents chatted. Daniel nodded politely while scanning the field for Lily. She'd joined her team near the far goal, where they were doing stretches led by No. Daniel's brain short-circuited. Sophia stood in front of the girls, demonstrating a quad stretch, her dark hair pulled back in a high ponytail. She wore black athletic pants and a blue coaching shirt that matched the team colors. This couldn't be happening. Sophia was Lily's soccer coach. How had he not known this? How had Lily never mentioned her coach's name? Daniel? He turned. Sophia stood 5 feet away, having crossed the field. She looked equally shocked. She started. Lily's dad. He finished. Yes, Lily. Sophia's eyes went wide. Lily, right. I never made the connection. She's talked about you. About her coach. She loves soccer. She just never mentioned. He gestured helplessly. I don't use my last name with the kids. Too formal. I'm just Coach Sophie. Sophia glanced back at the team. This is complicated? That's one word for it. A whistle blew. The referee was calling the teams together. Sophia looked torn. I have to. Go, coach. We'll talk after? She nodded and jogged back to the team. Daniel sank into his chair, mind reeling. The game started. Daniel tried to focus on Lily, but his eyes kept drifting to Sophia on the sideline. She was good with the kids, patient but firm, encouraging without coddling. When one girl fell crying, Sophia knelt beside her, speaking in calm tones until the tears stopped. When another scored a goal, Sophia's celebration was genuine and enthusiastic. This was a side of her he'd never seen. At work, she was all professional precision. Here, with the kids, she was fully present and surprisingly warm. Lily played defense, her face scrunched in concentration. At halftime, when the girls crowded around Sophia, Lily was right in front, asking questions and nodding seriously. Daniel's chest tightened. Lily loved her coach. If things between Daniel and Sophia didn't work out, would it affect Lily's team? The second half was intense. With 10 minutes left, the ball came to Lily. She trapped it the way Sophia must have taught her, looked up, and kicked it forward to a teammate who scored the tying goal. Daniel jumped to his feet, cheering. On the sideline, Sophia was celebrating, clapping and shouting. When she glanced toward the parent section, her eyes met Daniel's. Then she smiled a full, genuine smile that transformed her face. Daniel smiled back. The game ended in a tie. The girls lined up to high-five each other, then clustered around their coaches. Daniel waited near his truck, watching as Sophia addressed the team. Finally, the girls dispersed. Lily bounded over, sweaty and grass-stained and beaming. Did you see my assist, Daddy? Coach, Sophie said I played excellent defense. I saw. You were great, baby. Can we get pizza? All the other kids are getting pizza. Sure. Let me just... He looked toward the field. Sophia was gathering equipment. Daniel walked across the field. Sophia looked up as he approached, the equipment bag slung over her shoulder. Great game, Daniel said. Thanks. The girls played well. Sophia's eyes dropped to Lily, who had followed. Especially you, Lily. That assist was perfectly timed. Thanks, Coach Sophie. Did you know you work with my dad? That's so awesome. Can you come to pizza with us? Daniel and Sophia both froze. Oh, I don't want to intrude, Sophia started. The team always gets pizza after games, Lily interrupted. At Marco's. Everyone goes. You have to come. Lily, Daniel said carefully. Coach Sophie might have other plans. Do you? Lily looked at Sophia with the kind of hopeful expression that could break hearts. Sophia looked at Daniel, a question in her eyes. He could give her an out. Could suggest they talk later. Keep this boundary clear. But standing there in the bright morning sun, watching his daughter beam up at the woman who'd somehow become important to him, he found he didn't want to. You should come, he said quietly. If you want to. Sophia studied his face for a long moment. Then she smiled that full, genuine smile again. Pizza sounds good. Marco's Pizzeria was chaos kids, running between tables, parents trying to maintain order. Constant din of conversation and laughter. Daniel found himself in a booth near the back, squeezed between Lily and the wall, watching as Sophia navigated the crowd of 7-year-olds vying for her attention. Coach Sophie, sit with us, Lily had demanded. Before Daniel could intervene, Lily had dragged Sophia to their booth and shoved her into the seat across from them. Now they sat with 3 large pizzas spread across 2 tables the girls had pushed together. Lily and 3 teammates had claimed the adjacent table, which meant Daniel and Sophia ended up sitting across from each other with unexpected semi-privacy. This is not what I expected when I woke up this morning, Sophia said. Welcome to my life, Daniel replied. Zero predictability. Constant noise. Sounds familiar. I manage that at work. Except here the chaos comes with more sticky fingers. As if on cue, Lily appeared, her hands covered in pizza sauce. Daddy, can I have money for the game machine? You haven't finished your lunch. I had 2 pieces. Eat 1 more, then you can play. Lily sighed but returned to the adjacent table. Sophia smiled. You're good at that. At what? The dad thing. Setting boundaries but not being harsh. Daniel shrugged. I'm making it up as I go. Some days it works. She's a great kid. She is, isn't she? The pride in his voice was undisguised. They fell into comfortable conversation. Sophia told him about starting coaching 2 years ago. Daniel told her about Lily's soccer obsession. The afternoon stretched on more pizza, more games, more laughter. As families started to leave, Daniel realized he didn't want it to end. This moment, this afternoon where his 2 worlds had merged without disaster, felt important. Outside in the parking lot, as parents loaded exhausted kids into cars, Sophia walked with Daniel and Lily to his truck. Thank you for inviting me, she said. Thank you for coming. They stood in the late afternoon sun, the parking lot emptying around them. So, Sophia said. Monday, coffee at 7. I'll be there. And maybe. Daniel smiled. I'd like that. Lily called from the truck. Daddy, I'm tired. Coming, baby. See you Monday. He watched her walk to her car, feeling something he hadn't felt in 3 years. Hope. Real hope that maybe there was room in his carefully controlled life for something good. As he drove home, Lily stirred in her car seat. Daddy? Yeah, baby? I like Coach Sophie. I do too. Is she your friend? Daniel thought about the past 3 weeks, the coffee meetings, the conversations, the way she'd fit into his chaotic life. Yeah, I think she is. Good. Lily yawned. You smile more now. And maybe, Daniel thought, that was the whole point.